Hello everybody! Welcome back to another Shadowverse Worlds Beyond video. And today we'll be covering 10 new decks that I came up with for the new set, Heir of Omen. Alright, so in case you guys didn't know, they actually revealed every single card right now for the new set. And you can actually make decks right now in the deck portal from the official site. So, since the set isn't live right now, I took the time to make some decks like while I was theory crafting and also like researching like pro decks that I've been seeing over in the internet. So I compiled them all into one like a link. The link will be down below in the description below. And if you guys enjoyed this, like don't forget to leave comment and subscribe and let me know like if there's any decks that you want like to be featured in the future. And with that said, let's get right into it. We'll be starting with Egg Portal. So the reason why I went with Egg Portal right away is because I just really like the concept of the Lishena's eggs. I know this is not going to be a meta deck right off the bat. The numbers aren't there, I think. It doesn't scream anything broken or anything, and it seems like it's easily countered by anything that has really good healing. Now, my take on Egg Portal is actually playing it very tempo heavy. So if you've noticed, I put like a lot of 2 drops and also even added a 1 drop alongside some puppets. And then the finisher will be Odin, right? With the new cards, the egg crackers, I would like to call them. And then with the new cards that they like recently shown, the devastating soprano and Leshena being the engines of this entire thing. So how will this work? If you're going first, you want a mulligan for goblin, and then once you drop goblin, you're gonna use devastating soprano, and there you go. You have turn 2 egg, right? And you can also use the puppets for making this card really good because this card will be based on how many allied cards under the field the puppets will count. Right, and that also is for the congregate of destruction. Instead of like gaining stats off of the allies on the board, it destroys them instead. So the puppies will be good, right? So the puppies will be your control, like tempo. Keep it like you want to stick as much units as you can in the early game, and then apply pressure alongside the eggs that you're developing. And then towards the end, you would want to super evolve like Axia and then deal a lot of damage to the face, and you can also Odin to be a finisher. Another way that you can finish the game is by like gillness is like sweetness of veracity. So if game goes late and they're kind of low and they don't have sustain for whatever reason, you can like finish the game like this. Or you can use gillness as well as a punish if there's anything that will stick on the board. So yeah, that's one deck, right? And the next that I will be showing you guys, like sorry, I'm going really fast with this because there's a lot of decks that there's a lot of decks that we gotta cover. So next up is Pacifist Haven. I know I said in the past that I don't quite understand like the win con of Pacifist Haven, but I made the deck with the mindset of playing around the Marvin quest. And also, since I'm like, okay, what's the win con with this? I just put like Cocytus as like a late game win con. Because from what I've noticed is you're gonna be able to control the board, you're gonna be able to generate value. It's gonna be really slow, but you won't be threatened at all by most decks that are trying to play aggressive against you. And then you also have cards like Temple of Repose, which gives a barrier to your leader. You might be thinking, what is this barrier gonna be good for? It's gonna be good for tanking the 10 damage of Maddening Benison. So you can actually heal for 10 for 2 mana. Or something that I really like is being able to block uh the Astaroth from the Cocytus decline from a rune player. Of course, you're still going to lose to rune with this type of deck, but like it's better to have option. It's better to survive one more turn, and maybe like if you already played Cocytus, maybe you can like steal the game from them just off of surviving that one turn, right? Who knows? But yeah, that's my take on like Pacifist Haven. I am actually somewhat excited to try this for some reason, just because I want a deck that, you know, while I know it might be boring to y'all, it's also interesting because I got a lot of fatigue from all of the mid-range aggressive decks in the previous two sets, so it might be like a fresh thing. It might be a fresh deck to play, a fresh way of playing the game of like just being a pacifist. It has a lot of healing. It has a lot of crest, right? We have six crest generators in this deck. So the Marvin like a crest will actually be like somewhat playable in my opinion. Hopefully that goes out well. And then let's go to the next one that I have for Havencroft, and that is Ward Haven. The reason why I put Ward Haven here is because I just want to like let you guys know about really, really like cool interaction that you can do. So if you'll notice, the Ward Haven deck like looks the same, right? We added the Knight of Holy Order because this will give us like healing, right? Like surprisingly, like Havencroft, like a Havencroft class doesn't have enough healing, so they decided to give us a healing like card. So whenever this follower is given attack or defense on the field, restore one defense to your leader. So how does this work? If you like buff this card, like if you buff this card with let's say Divine Guard, you heal, right? And if you get the buff from Ether Super Volt, you heal another time. And if you get the buff from the Wilbert Crest, you heal another time. So you can basically like get +3 healing off of just like summoning this card, assuming you have all those effects. And another thing that's really nice is we got a card, right, like Blinding Fate, which allows us to deal with white boards even without Salefa. Another thing that's good with this is on Enhanced 8, it can draw 3 and also heal us for 3. So overall, just like a really, really good card in general for like Havencroft in my opinion. No more like, oh, I lost the game because I didn't draw Salefa. And then to the card that's most interesting to me to be added to this deck, I've actually discussed this with some pro players recently, but they like the idea, but like they gotta see it in action to confirm that this is a good synergy to apply toward Haven. And the Congregant of Repose might be saying, okay, why would you play this? And the reason why is number one, the way to counter Salefa and this card is by being tall. What I mean by being tall is the opposite of wide. You go for higher statted singular or like singular units on the board instead of like attacking wide because you'll be hit by AoE. Now this is our answer to that, and not only that, it's also gonna give us a crest where at the end of the turn, if allied followers didn't attack, draw a follower for defense. And if you've noticed, I actually removed Cleric from this deck. And if you're wondering why I did that, it's because I want this to be a card draw for Ether. This is effectively a card search for Ether. This idea right now is still raw, not tested, of course. But in theory, I think this might work, and it's a very interesting interaction if it does. All right, moving on. All right, we're going really fast with this, guys. Don't worry. So, like, just pause, and like, make the video slower if you think it's way too fast. All right. Next up is a deck that I know you guys will really love to play. It's called Mode Abyss, right? So, if you guys don't know what Mode Abyss is, you do a quest with Nacha, and when you manage to finish the quest, all of your mode effects like you get to choose another one of the modes. So let's say you play Gensetsu, you get to play both of the modes instead of just one. So that's interesting, right? So the way you like finish this quest is by basically playing multiple mode cards until you get to 10 fate. So for every mode you select, you gain one fate. The way to speed run this is by, of course, like engaging with the amulets and also evolving with like any like a card that has a mode effect on them. So my take on this is running like a decent amount of 2 drops, right? Because I think that one of the main issues is we're gonna be a bit slow, and then having a copy of Grimnir, and then just like having most of the mode like cards that they gave us, and hopefully by then we can either like stabilize with Cerberus and Gensetsu once we gets the quest, and if we're really lucky, we might be able to set up an OTK with like Valneric. So yeah, that's a really cool like deck. I I'm still convinced that the OG mid-range abyss might be a bit better just because it plays better into rune. This deck probably doesn't play good into runecraft or roach because as you can see it's a bit slower. But the payoff is really nice if you get to do that. So like personally, I still like the OG mid-range abyss. I'll be making a regular mid-range abyss deck in the future, but for now, I want to feature more of the new cards. All right, so let's move on to the next deck that I'll be showing. Um, like the Jerry challenge. Okay, so this is not really like an abyss deck; it's more like a neutral deck. So if you've noticed, all of the cards in this deck is literally just for searching Jerry. So, how do you search for Jerry? By making Jerry the only follower in the deck, but, right? Like having a lot of cards that draw a follower. So, for example, this, like Chaos Cyclone, draw a follower, right? Like Adventurous Guild, draw a follower, all right? So, you also have this card, like Screaming and Loading, draw a follower. Okay. So you just want to draw. And of course, the best case scenario is you get Jerry right away or get one of these cards right away. And then if you manage to fail that, even though the odds are really high to get Jerry, you're probably just gonna try to remove whatever is in on the board. That's why we have a bunch of removal cards like Dark Side, and we also have like that slash. That slash is probably gonna be like in combination of Memorial or the bats. You also have like a lot of card draw. You have like I even bought Ceramic here. You have this like the one of the new cards, Greatness Ascended. This is a card that you'll probably play alongside Tablet of Tribulation. So yeah, like this is literally just to play Jerry. I call this the Jerry challenge because I'm actually challenging y'all, right? Me, other creators, and the community to do this challenge. It's gotta be fun. It's gotta be exciting, right? Like it's like infinite content for at least a week for everybody. So yeah, like if you manage to finish this challenge or win with this challenge, let me know and I'll be one of the first guys to congratulate you. And with that said, let's go to the next deck that I want to show you guys, and it is Dragoncraft. So I made two versions. Of course, I love Fennie. I'm gonna have a Fennie version, and it's gonna be the Storm Dragon first and foremost, of course. All right, let's go with the serious version, of course, first. I decided to put like two Gilness, one copy of the Nation of the Stain, three copies of the Devotee, three copies of the Ferocious Flame, right? Three Galmute and three like Congregant of the Stain, three copies of Azurfrit. So the game plan is very similar to like the old Stormblight deck, but this time around you have more consistency in the early game because you have removal and you have heal, you have more 5 drops, right? And you also have a substitute to Garyu. So this is not gonna be as wide as Garyu, of course. Like some probably would prefer Garyu, but the good thing about this is you're gonna be able to like synergize with you're gonna be like able to synergize with Galbu and also hit the face for 6 on your super evolve. You're gonna be able to wipe no matter how wide the board is because this is gonna do about like 12 damage, I think. It's gonna do 12 damage in an AoE. Archifit is definitely gonna be the only one left after the fact. And yeah, after the fact, and you're probably going to be able to set up Genesis Dragon unless they ward up. If they ward up, of course, you have a lot of options to remove. You have the Phylene alongside like the zero cost cards that Galmu will be printing with her crest with the fangs, right? You can have this in combination of like Phylene. You have like cardio as well as combination with the Galmu spell, another one of that, and you also have this card to buff your cards. One of the reasons why I went with times 2 Odin instead of times 3 actually is because this guy only buffs Dragoncraft followers, meaning he doesn't get buff, right? But Forte and Genesis Dragon get buffs. The marine package is still here. The only thing that I remove is probably the 2 drop, and my reasoning for that is because we have like 2 drops now. We have like a more like stable early game, But if the early game becomes rough for this deck, I might slot in the marine, like the 2-drop marine rush, units in exchange for, I don't know, maybe Odin, or like maybe a copy of Blue Fang. But let's see how it goes. Hopefully this deck actually becomes good. I might also add another copy of like this Dane if I find it like really important. For now, the reason why it's times 1 is because it lasts for a long time anyway, and it's probably something that I won't use in the early game just because like it doesn't really do anything until you engage it. So yeah. All right, next deck that I'll be covering, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like it's Storm Dragon still. The difference is there's no more Odin, and I decided to add Fennie, and the reason why is because I really like Fennie. And of course, if you add Fennie, you're obligated to add like Olivia. And I actually think this is not bad. Like for some reason, I believe that this might have a chance to see play, just in ladder, of course. Like I don't think like pro play is gonna be good for this type of deck, but like Fenny is in a more comfortable situation just because of the fact that you have a lot of ways to remove stuff on the field. The healing is gonna be the one problem probably, but then again you have the Olivia Neptune crest to fall back to, right? Because we're not running the 3 mana, 3 mana heal 2 draw 2 card. We're heavily relying on like cardio from Devotee and the Ferocious Flame. If I find myself having trouble with the cardio, even with all of this, I'll probably add back the 3 mana card. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. We're done with dragon, and like I'm going to show you guys like my Raio deck. Okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. The reason why I didn't make a spell boost deck or a pure Earthright deck is because the cards that they gave us were pretty cope. So I was like, okay, how am I able to make an actual real deck that's somewhat playable with a real win con without, you know, without making a without making a bad deck, like super bad deck, and also including like the new cards. It was really hard to include the new cards in this deck, but I after a few hours I decided that this is the type of deck that I will go to. We will play Raio, right? If you guys don't know what Raio does, it reduces all the cost of the followers by 3, and it transforms a random spell into a 0 cost, destroy all enemy followers. So that's the reason why you see 3 copies of Pascal and also 3 copies of Homework Time. Is because I want to be able to save 1 spell in my hand in order for like Rayo to transform something into this spell, because I think I really need the spell if you're gonna play it. Of course it's gonna be, you don't need to like transform a spell if you if it's an empty board or it's safe, right? But if you're playing it into a strong board, or you want to counter the small board, right? You want to destroy everything, you want to destroy the big board, I mean, right? You might want to have a spell in order to do that. And the spells that I chose are draw spells. And the reason why is because after you get off this effect, of course, you want to draw cards. So you have Norman Ascardio, you have like Brew Ascardio, Melvis, which is Brew Ascardio, Pascal is cardio, homework time is cardio. There's a lot of cardio, and the way that I would plan to win with this deck is just literally once I proc the Rayo, Gilness is going to be 0 mana, and that means I'll be able to do 10 damage to the face if like I draw 2 of her, right? This is gonna be 10 damage to the face, so that's really nice. And like of course Q110 is Q110, right? Odin is gonna be Odin, like basically it's more reach for for Earth, right? I'm considering adding like the dog, like the dog like card, like the 3/1 that can gain storm if the enemy super evolves, but I feel like if I do add that, I might be missing Earthright cards to make the entire deck work in the first place. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out for this deck. For now, it's literally just a meme. All right, like I am not like telling guys to craft this. Okay, this is just a for fun deck. If you manage to find yourself wanting a different like flavor of like runecraft. And with that said, speaking of different flavor, we have a different flavor on sword, and it is loot sword. Okay, so I decided to take the entire loot package just to test how many loot cards are quote unquote needed in order to have the best like results with Sinkiro. Now, of course, Sinkiro is going to be paired up with Albert because Sinkiro can deal 8 damage on a Super Evolve and Albert does 12 on a Super Evolve. Alright, so the big question here is how do we curve in the early game, apply pressure in order to be in a position where this combo would actually finish. Now I decided to just like add samurai and also zirconia alongside the loot cards, right? Of course I'm also gonna play valse because it's one of the best cards in the game for a turn 3 play. And like we're just gonna play this curve out normally, probably use the evolve on Oxris, right? And if we manage to make a not like a strong board, we can use Zirconia for that, right? The issue I have with Zirconia is, of course, Zirconia is kind of a dead card without evolves, so I might like tone down the amount of Zirconias that I will bring in this deck or remove her altogether, right? So I could like increase consistency with the other like cards that don't need an evolve. But for now, I can't remove Zirconia at the moment just because I think it's a really strong card. It makes people deal like use up resources, and if people break it literally just wins you the game by itself. So yeah, like the rest are just gonna be like the regular cards that you see, right? Just do know that like removing zirconia or turning down zirconia is fine just because you have a really strong turn 4 play with the congregate of usurpation. This is going to be your cardio and also going to be your loot card generator. All right. So, the last deck that I'll be showcasing to you guys will be Control OTK Forest. So as you can see over here, I have a lot of the package for like the typical roach deck that you see, but I added some new cards. First off, I added the Bestial Swipe. The effect is select an enemy fall on the field and deal 4 damage. Combo tree, draw a card. So this is a combo removal card similar to cards that we already know like Ambush, right? And May. The difference with this card though is it draws a card alongside it. So it's like draw on curve, removal on curve, right? You build the board because you probably are gonna play fairies, and then you remove a big unit, and then you probably kill small units with the fairies with just like stats, and then you draw a card. That's really good, and it's 2 mana. It's not that big, right? It might be a turn off for you for it being 2 mana, but it being able to draw a card with this effect, I think, is insane. One of the best cards in the game, in my opinion. We added like Guildness as well, and the reason why is because I want to have a source of healing in a control deck, and of course, like we want like other sources of late game damage as well if things go rough, if the initial game plan doesn't work out. It can also be used as a -2 tokens on the board if you evolve. You can like kill 3 units in 1 turn if you evolve Guildness, depending on the stats, of course, of the enemies. And yeah, it's very flexible. It can like react to wide or taller boards, but of course not too tall because she will be really broken if she can do that. And I added 1 copy of Titania because I want like something to be able to deal with stuff like Wilbert, and I also want something to generate me cards so I can continue pulling off combos to clear the board over and over again. All right, so next up is the new legendary card that they brought up. Like it's an ambush, and it has a really cool super evolve where it gives the enemy a crest. Like it gives yourself a crest where whenever an allied follower enters the field, like give it -1/-1. So it's gonna heal you. Right, it's gonna heal you. This is basically you like healing. I think this might be a translation error. I think it's like whenever a follower enters the field. It might be a translation error, maybe it's not, but yeah, it wouldn't make sense for you to like kill your own unit, right? I think it's for whenever a follower enters the field. But hey, we'll find out tomorrow. But like that's gonna be like another source of healing and clear for us because on Funfair it actually clears all two HP units, so that's really nice. Glade, of course, is for board clear as well. We're just gonna be continuously board clearing. Limaga is gonna be the board lock and also board clear. Right, this is a 10-10 on Super Bowl, so that's nice. And then we have Izudia. If you guys don't know, Izuja is going to be one of the easiest ways to perform an OTK in this game, I think. And if you guys don't know what it does, it gives an enemy follower on the field 06, so it's like a fanfare destroy, right? And if you evolve him, it gives you a card, and it's called Annihilating Assault, right? Activates in hand at the end of your turn, reduce the cost of this card by 1. So yeah, for every end of your turn, it's gonna be reduced by 1. And if you manage to play this card while Izudia is on the field, you can literally just win the game. 6 damage to the enemy leader, right? On like base effect, and 20 damage if you have Izudia on the field. So Nero, how does this work then? So you try to coin Izudia, right? You coin Izudia, you play Izudia, you evolve him, and then after the fact, you will get this card, and then this card will sit in your hand for a couple of turns. On turn 10, you will play Izudia again, and then you will play Baby Carbuncle, and then you super evolve Baby Carbuncle, and then you play this, and then it's an OTK. All right. So, yo, Nero, how do we survive that? How do we survive like those turns that you just told us that we're gonna wait, right, with this carbuncle and this like onslaught on hand? Well, that's where this is going to be a key card for defending your face. Right, so if you guys don't know what this is, there is a Conqueror of Unkilling. When this card enters the field, summon an exact copy of it. Give the exact copy 01 -1. So this is basically 5 wards with rush, all of them being for attack. You have 20 damage on the board. So you can use this to clear the board and also defend yourself, which is really nice because you're gonna need to stall out a couple of turns in order to reach the point where you can actually play Izudia. And that will be it for every single deck that I'll be showing today. If you guys, once again, if you guys want to like view all of these decks on the portal website, I will be linking this down below in the description below. Hope you guys have a nice release day. Hope you guys have fun. Rate, like, comment, and subscribe. And hope you guys have a nice day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.